And welcome back to the Sports Source. This segment brought to you by Scramble Jake's Breakfast Company. Okay, folks, they have been doing the takeout, delivery, curbside on the weekends, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. But coming up on Friday, May 8th, they do plan to open their doors. Now, they're going to be under the same situations that all restaurants are right now. There's a certain number of people they can let in. They spread you out. But they will be open for business on May 8th for you to dine in. ScrambleJakes.com to learn more. You can also follow them on Facebook. Ditto, Parkside Cabin Rentals. They are opening up, and they invite you to call. Call them and check out the website. On that website, they've got great information about some of the new equipment they bought and some of the incredible stuff that is used to clean hospitals. They now have it for their cabins. Parkside Cabin Rentals, be sure to check them out. Check Scramble Jakes out. They will both be back open this week. Okay. Mentioned this going to break. On October 30th, 2016, I opened the Sports Source with a clip from the movie Titanic. It was the scene where the shipbuilder was explaining that the water is going to come over this and then over this, and he says, make no mistake, whatever happens from this point on, Titanic will sink. We did that because the previous day, Tennessee had lost to South Carolina and blown the SEC East in 2016. And at that point, in my view, for Butch Jones, it may have lasted 2 years, 3 years. He was never going to recover with the fans from blowing the East, even if they went on to get to the Sugar Bowl that year, which they also didn't do. Now, it turns out that ship crashed a lot quicker than Titanic. It didn't flounder for 2 hours. It went 4 and 8 the next year, and Butch Jones was out. I bring that up because I wonder, have we seen the opposite moment for Jeremy Pruitt in terms of he's going to make it? And the moment would be down by about 2 touchdowns, 5 minutes to go against Indiana in the Gator Bowl. At that point, since then, Tennessee got a touchdown. If you remember his first year, he's calling for onside kicks left and right, doesn't get any of them. He brings out the onside kick against the Gator Bowl. It's great, goes their way. They go down, they score again, they win that. They have the great close to recruiting, finish in the top 10. He then remakes his coaching staff, adds another VFL and Jay Graham, which makes the fans happy. Now you're doing this on the recruiting trail. Have we seen the moment now where we say, okay, I'm in on Jeremy Pruitt? Because just January 22nd, 123 days ago, we wouldn't have been saying that if they lose to Indiana. Certainly weren't saying it after Georgia State. Are we willing to buy in now? And let's talk about this meteoric turnaround for Jeremy Pruitt.
I think, we've talked on this show, and Pruitt's talking about results-based business, and I think results are important, but I think when you're assessing questions like that, I think the results are actually secondary to what's going on inside the building. And you talk to people, and you kind of hear stuff. The only thing you hear about Pruitt is like, he's hard on these kids. Like he demands a lot out of them, but the amount of belief and sort of all-in mentality that you hear from people inside the building, players, assistants, staff. The way that he kind of treats people, I think, is remarkable. And so I think when you're looking at, will this work? If I'm looking for reasons to believe that it will, I think that's where I would look. More than anything that even happened on the field. If you've got a group of talented guys, and obviously, like I mentioned in the previous segment, more talented guys on the way that all believe and are all going, are behind him, I think that could take you a long way. And I'm not sure the previous administration had that.
Well, the interesting thing, if you go back, the first couple of years when Butch Jones was, and this can be a little, that's why I was going to say, it all looks great. I'm starting to buy in. I'm not completely bought in yet for this reason. What you just brought up, the first 2 years of Butch Jones, you talked to VFLs who were around him, you talked to people in that building, they would have told you he's exactly what we needed, he's great. And then the pressure got to him and he changed. So I'm just saying, not that this guy's going to be Butch Jones, but there were a lot of people over there that were fans of Butch early on when you would talk to them, and then that changed. But from what I heard you say, you're guaranteeing he'll be successful here, correct?
Of course, yeah.
That's what we'll hold you to. Mike Strange, your thoughts on, are you buying in from what you're seeing so far? And if not, just comment on the fact that I didn't see this coming, this turnaround.
I don't post my buy-in moment at 5 minutes to go in the Gator Bowl. I go back to October with that just horrible start. And at that point, it's early in his second year, and at that point, I'm not counting him out, but at that point, I don't have anything I see that says this is the guy. But to me, more than the last 5 minutes of the Gator Bowl was that beating Mississippi State, beating South Carolina, winning those games down the stretch, that's when I said, okay, now I have something tangible that I can see. And like David said, he's certainly taken it through on a good run here. 4 or 5 months?
Yeah.
4 months, I guess.
123 days. I
Yeah.
counted it up. Yeah. It really is amazing because I don't think anyone, and they can say this now, but hey, I was on social media. I saw what you were saying when they were down 23-9 against Indiana. So there were a lot of people that were out on Jeremy Pruitt. And certainly, if you go back further, as you mentioned, after the Georgia State loss and then the BYU loss, if you had told me that we'd be sitting here in May of the next year and everything would look rosy and Tennessee would be killing it in recruiting and everyone would be cheering Jeremy Pruitt and I'd be getting tweets that say, hey, you're going to cover this? How about the greatness? I just wouldn't have believed it. It's shocking, the flip.
I think it's interesting because Jeremy Pruitt is a trust the process kind of guy, and I think coming off of Georgia State and BYU, people were frustrated that he wasn't like selling or wasn't angry or wasn't like pounding the dais and like we're gonna get this right. He just was kind of like, well, we gotta just get better. We gotta keep doing that, and I think that as frustrating as that was for fans at the moment, I think as you sort of see this flip and they're closing the season on a 6-game winning streak, you're not really seeing him like, hey, look what we just did. Like, hey, I think you're seeing him sort of just like, well, we got to get better. And I think when you have that sort of even keel approach, I think that pays off in the long term. And I think that, again, is another reason why you feel pretty good because I think, even like, as a student of Nick Saban, even as he's hoisting a national championship trophy, he's thinking about, well, I got to call these recruiting kids as soon as I get in the locker room. And I think Pruitt has some of that in him, where like even if he reaches those points, I'm not sure he's ever going to sort of be like, we did it, we're here.
I think that's a terrific point. The even keel thing. The other, whereas fans, when you're mad, you want to see the coach.
They wanted it and it wasn't
That's
there.
Right. And when you're happy, you want the coach to be happy. You're easier to take it if he's still grinding on the guys when you're winning. But you really want him to be mad when you're mad. But you're right about how that works. If you're a leader, if you're in an office building, you get a leader that is up and down like a yo-yo, it burns out. It doesn't work. Whereas I think the even keel guys last longer. That's a great point. When we come back, let's take a look at this recruiting class so far, ranked number 3 in the country, and compare it to Tennessee's top 10 classes of the 2000s. There have been several. What does Tennessee need to do, based on the numbers, to stay in the top 10? To rise, perhaps? We'll show you. Come on back on the Sports Source.